Uh, I'm behind schedule, but you can go on our walk. Hey, heading down Franklin Avenue, westbound. The ever-present scooters here. Don't trip on them in the dark. The LEDs are on off. Lights are off on that one. So there's Immaculate Heart School. It's a very large private school here. Okay, let's see who's on. Check on. Commenting community. Back for round 2. Yeah, Alex, I was, I don't have Sebastian with me this evening. He wanted to continue to take a nap. And so my companion in live streaming is not with me tonight. My furry companion. Made for a little easier. It's raining here, as you can see, in Los Angeles. Looking forward to the live stream Friday on why Kozrecki, Church of Scientology Religious College in Commonwealth countries, is $100 million in debt to the Church of Scientology International. That's a lot of debt to be in. I mean, because really all you're going to buy is e-meters and books. So I'm wondering if Bridge Publications has shipped, say $70 million worth of Dianetics and other Hubbard books to Kozrecki and build them. What do you think, Alex? Is there some 5 million square foot warehouse somewhere in the United Kingdom full of Hubbard's books going back to 1952 that with interest accrued, St. Hill and Kozrecki owes the church as much as $1 billion. There's something up. If you keep digging, you're going to find it. It's always some kind of fuckery, as we will discover. I think Alex has found $100 million in debt between Scientology corporations. That's out exchange. Hubbard said that orgs are supposed to be solvent. They're supposed to have money. So if Kozrecki is $100 million in debt, that means Kozrecki is, what's the word? Insolvent. They have no money. They're so poor they can't pay attention. So, anyway. If we had the Doors song playing Riders on the Storm, it would be so nice. It fit the mood perfectly. But it would be a copyright violation, so we don't have that kind of music, but you can think of it in your head. Now, I looked at the live, and DOA was live when I left the house. What does it say? I can't read. Let me see this. Hold on a minute. Oh, okay. There's also $60 million on account in undelivered services. Wow, that's a big liability. $60 million in undelivered services in Kozrecki. That's all AP, advanced payment, that they reg from people for services they couldn't possibly deliver. They don't have enough auditors in the world to deliver $60 million in services. I mean, unless you go out to the 23rd century. But of course, the golden age of, golden age of admin will rectify the situation, because Scientology works when applied 100% standardly, as you can see with the Danny Masterson case. And what are the other? See, we've got one criminal trial coming up with David Gentili, GPB Capital. The Spina brothers are in jail for their $80 million Medicare fraud. OT8, William Rex Fowler is in prison for life for murder. So it is a rogues gallery. I wonder how much money Celebrity Center has in AP, that is accounts payable or services to be delivered. Advanced payments, that's what I was looking for. Advanced payments. So far, look at the dark streets. The dark streets. Screeching cars. Now, okay, we're about I'll give us about 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds out. There's LAPD, our first LAPD cruiser going by. So let's see what our friends of the Los Angeles Police Department are doing. They're turning on Van Ness. Okay, they turn left onto Van Ness as if they're headed down to the Plywood Boulevard on-ramp to the Plywood Freeway. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yielded for the pedestrian. Now, let's get the look behind us. Nope. Okay, now we're seeing La Poubelle just ahead. Bob's 2-hour cleaning. There's a house of boba breakfast and dessert. Bancha. Local businesses. Some great restaurants here as we head toward Franklin Village. Oh, look, there's an old newspaper rack. Let's see what's in the news. It appears to be inoperable. Oh, you know what? That's the site of a future ideal org for David Miscavige. I think that's his personal ideal org. It just needs some repairs and upgrades. Won't you donate $10 million now to get David Miscavige's mini ideal org upgraded? Ideal org and distribution, literature distribution center. Hello, Gelson's. The dark streets. Ooh, what's that? Okay. Okay, we're seeing a car without headlights. Cruising. A car without headlights on. Passing La Poubelle. Is something sinister afoot? Why is a car without headlights stopping in front of La Poubelle? Why? Well, let's go find out why as we live stream our way into Franklin Village. Okay. Please scare, hang on, I have to read this. Please scare the out of DOA in his van when you walk up to his window. No, I don't. I'll give him a. I think I may joke with him, but it's like, hey, Xenu, what are you doing in that van? Celebrity Center. Okay, we've made it. to the Celebrity Center, which is called Cameraland. It's conspicuous for its complete absence of celebrities. No celebrities to be seen at the Scientology Celebrity Center. They are a celebrity center in name only. No actual celebrities were used during the production of Scientology Celebrity Center. Okay, so let's see, let's check out La Poubelle. If they're playing any copyrighted music and not paying ASCAP, not paying the artists, shut it down. Shut it down. DOA. Okay, we're hearing La Poubelle. Hey, how you doing, bro? Okay, we have DOA. Oh, they're playing Steely Dan and back, so dirty work, no less. Steely Dan does not want to do the dirty work for Scientology. How you doing?
Hey.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, let's walk down here. They're playing copyrighted music.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
They're playing Steely Dan's dirty work.
And playing all the shit.
Steely Dan is saying, well, I reported them to ASCAP. I'm reporting La Poubelle to ASCAP because they're not I want to make sure they're paying royalties to use Steely, because you have to pay. They're using Steely Dan's music commercially, Shardays, so they have to pay.
Yeah.
So I'm turning them into ASCAP. I've already filed one report. But the case of your missing socks.
Yes, we got
Yes.
We got flyers here.
Oh, let's look at this.
Missing
Monster.
socks.
Yeah, that's the rapist.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm a private investigator.
Yeah.
As you know, the real thing. So on the case of your missing socks, there's a suspect, LAPD detective.
Yes.
Was last seen in possession of your socks, sir?
Yes.
Go ahead, detective's name, please.
The detective, I forgot her name.
Okay, well, she was in possession of your socks. Do you have any reason to believe they were illegally searched and seized in violation of the Fourth?
Absolutely.
So we haven't.
There was supposed to be the time, place, and manner of where they were, and my black socks were not on the warrant of things that they were looking for.
So you're protected constitutionally against illegal search and seizure. So the socks are the victim of a civil rights violation.
Absolutely.
So I think
They're
there should
my
be.
favorite socks too.
The socks, I believe, sir, were valued at least $10 million.
Yes, I would.
They were.
I'd be hard pressed to put a price on it.
Well, they were unique socks.
Yes, very
so, but there has been damage to the client.
Yes.
With the theft of socks, the alleged theft of socks by LAPD.
There's been harm.
I think they were trying to get your DNA so Scientology could clone you.
They don't want to clone me.
No, if they could brainwash you. Imagine like a reverse DOA.
Okay.
An ANSA defender, an AOD. They would try to clone you. So it may have been a DNA thing. We don't know. Anyway. So
and we got
what do we have?
We got this here. Danny Masterson, drug Jane Doe number 3 at La Poubelle. The owner, Francois Coster, supported him throughout the trial. She even harassed victims during court breaks. She wrote a character letter to try to minimize his sentence, citing his animal rescue and positive impact as reasons for the judge to be lenient. Danny Masterson was convicted of 2 counts of forcible rape and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. Francois Coster has never condemned his actions. In fact, her employees say people get drugged all the time and rape happens everywhere. She encourages patrons to assault protesters. Boycott La Poubelle. Don't support rape culture.
Wow.
Stand with victims. No means no.
Yeah, strong statement.
Yeah.
And it's one that's important to be heard.
I got about 400 of these. The owner supports the serial rapist who drugged his victim here. Employees say people get drugged all the time. To minimize Francois Coster's support to Danny Masterson, she harassed the victims during court breaks and wrote her esteemed character to minimize his sentence. Date rape happened here. Please be safe.
Wow.
And I like this one. Harassing victims of Danny Masterson.
Yeah.
So I got a whole box of flyers.
That's terrific work. Yeah, so that's I was expecting more live streamers. We gotta,
Yeah, it's been just the rain finally gave up. So.
Yeah, it was really. That's why my faithful companion Sebastian didn't want to come out in the rain. My poor Zoe. So any kind of anyway. So we have to stay out of just earshot.
Someone made a bunch of signs too. She made like a crap load of these.
Wow. Now, do they take down the signs every night? Are they missing?
Yeah,
So
usually
they rip them down after
But that means that they're
restaurant
effective.
closes. Yeah.
Or they'll do it the next day. I flyered this morning the thing, and I'm going to do an aggressive campaign over the next 5 blocks, scattered around.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, just because this is super local activism, but it's very effective.
Oh, it's you know what? It's activism starts on the streets, and people need to realize the importance of being out on the street, carrying the message.
Yeah.
And it goes up through YouTube.
Yeah.
This is fantastic because Anonymous didn't have this.
Yeah.
When I protested with Anonymous, we just didn't have this. It would go on YouTube, but it wasn't the same, as a live.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is the protest started like in Australia, and we could move around the globe.
Yeah.
So we actually I think the first 2 or 3 we had literally 24 hours around the globe, or we tried to have as much as possible.
Yeah.
But see, one live streamer like you, who can have 10,000, 100,000 views, it exponentiates. They can't take that down.
No.
So this is different, effective in a different way than Anonymous.
Yeah.
Let's see some comments.
And I watched Anonymous when Occupy Wall Street kind of formed.
Oh yeah.
I watched all the Anonymous stuff there, and that was the beginning of first-person narrative streaming.
Okay, now it says Scientology wants to clone a pro. Scientology, good, yeah. F Scientology. Yeah, now they're turning up the music.
Yeah, no, they're playing.
It doesn't matter. It
It's
won't be monetized. Yeah,
it's all copyrighted music.
Yeah, and they're not. Are they paying royalties to the musicians?
Yeah, I didn't know that they had to. I guess.
Yeah, if you're using it, look, they're a for-profit business.
Yeah.
And they're using the music of artists. You have to pay. If you're a bar, so that's a question.
Use.
Yeah, it's a commercial use. They're serving their patrons liquor, and infused with God knows what, if anything. I like the van. Where does the name Defender of Ants come from? Is it?
It comes from It comes from like 10 years ago, but
yeah.
I listened to this law guy who always said never defend an ant in court, and so ant at a suffix of a word designates an agency in law. So defendant, movant, claimant,
right,
respondent, peasant, servant. There's some type of role.
Yeah.
And so I fought 6 felony. I got arrested for felony cultivation 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And during my cultivation trial, I got beat up by the police officers, and they claimed I hit them.
Yeah.
So I was facing 7 felonies, 6 felonies, aggravated battery on the police. And I beat the felony marijuana cultivation on a Miranda issue, suppressed my confession, and the charges, they were nully prosecuted.
No.
The 6 felonies, I started questioning my role as defendant in court and saying I was an idiot.
Yeah.
Basically, an idiot is incompetent to understand the nature and charges against him. So there's a play along there, but you have certain duties and obligations as the title of defendant. So anyways, the law guy always said never defend an ant.
Oh.
And so one day I was like, I want to be a defender of ants.
That's a great sense of social justice. Well, what happened to the felonies on the claimed assaults? Because you couldn't beat up 7 cops.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
two cops would beat the...
I called them dirty pigs. And they said, oh, you want to see dirty pigs? We'll give you dirty pigs.
Yeah.
And they charged me with those felonies.
Yeah.
So I was facing 50 years. I was able to, once I started questioning my role as defendant, saying I was an idiot, the judge kept saying, I think you need a lawyer. I kept saying, are you offering me legal advice? They can't offer you legal advice. And then I basically asked to be under oath. And he said, "Why?" I said, "Well, because I'm going to lie if I'm not under oath."
Right.
He's like, "Okay, well, put me under oath." I was like, "I want the prosecutor to be under oath."
Huh.
And at that point,
Let's move down a little bit out of the way.
And
They're
at that
cranking
point,
up the music.
At that point, I started asking what my duties and obligations were as a defendant, because I no longer want to be under that title.
Right.
And the judge basically looked at the prosecutor and said, "Take him outside, and you guys need to talk."
Yeah.
So that was basically the note to the prosecutor to get me out of there. So they dropped all 6 felonies to 3 misdemeanors, resisting arrest.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, and I took it.
Yeah.
I beat the cultivation case on a motion to suppress the confession, and with a written confession, which is, I literally wrote on a piece of paper I did the crime, and I was able to get out of it because it was fruits of a poisonous tree. And then the 6 felonies, I was so happy to not go to jail. It was $1,000 fine, non-reporting probation, so you didn't have to do drug tests or anything, and so I took the plea deal.
Well, what city was it?
Chicago.
Kane
County.
Yeah, it's not like Chicago's not dirty. Doesn't have a history of dirty cops.
I was locked up with all federal inmates.
Yeah.
The FBI had labeled me a domestic terrorist.
Wow.
And that they had me as a sovereign citizen.
Oh yeah.
And so that was what I was labeled as, and so I was locked up with federal inmates.
I'm gonna cut the.
And then said that I was going to do a suicide note.
Okay, yeah, I think when
Okay.
when I talked to you, I think you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to him before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have it. I mean,
Yeah. I'm glad for the advice on the Spotify. Yeah. So. Okay, I'll give DOA the message.
I talked about it, but I didn't put it.
Okay. Thank you. Off the rolls. I will give him that message. No kidding. Great comments. Yeah, they're turned up the music here, so that further you walk away, they keep turning up the music, so inside it'll reach 100 decibels or something. Yeah.
Need it for anything, I'll send it to you. I want you to have it, whatever.
Oh, we have a press. Good.
Yeah.
You doing?
So I know you.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
Jeffrey, right?
yeah.
We might have talked, but I wrote about the PPP stuff, and I know you did.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the
I feel
PPP.
like maybe we exchanged a DM.
Yeah,
or something,
I think we did. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, good to see you.
nice to meet you in
Yeah,
person.
good to see
finally.
you. Yeah, likewise.
Because
Did
go ahead.
yeah, we met. You were. Did we meet at the Masterson trial?
no.
No. Okay. Because I met journalists all around, but I know we exchanged on the PPP loan fuckery.
I'm pretty sure.
That's a legal term.
Yeah.
Or Scientology is so poor it had to borrow money. It had to borrow millions, and then it had to get the loans forgiven because it's so broke, it's so destitute, right?
Yeah, that was when my editor, when I saw the title,
Yeah.
because I was like, when I saw the title that my editor put on the story that broke out, like for me, which was Church of Scientology worth billions, took at least 30 people loans, dude, I was like, you know what you're doing, man. And he was like, yeah, we're pros. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Even though I wrote it, but that title was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's the right title.
Like,
Hey, they have a department where they take money, and I'm supposed to do a live a podcast with somebody on how they take money from the Charles Schwab Foundation. There's a foundation in California.
Okay.
They go out to like Schwab, these billion-dollar funds that give away money, and they just apply. Scientology has a department of like professional beggars who go out and they literally, it's like if they could go into people's homes and get coins under the cushions, they would do it. It's like they look for every possible dollar. Hubbard said it's a crime to refuse income. That's why they had the Narconon hustle, which at one time was worth $100 million until they started killing people in mass, and now that's down to 10 beds or less on that phony rehab. So yeah, they're a wealth extraction machine. It's wealth extraction. It's dehumanization of people down to monetary, use. So it's, and then of course, the money goes to pay for lawyers so that the church is protected from what Danny Masterson did. That's why they were paying Vicky Podboreski all that money to watch out for their best interest. And that's why they didn't want Danny Masterson dragged into trial, and there were so many motions in limine, that's pre-trial motions, to keep Scientology out of it. Same thing in the Rex Fowler murder case in Colorado. OT8 Rex Fowler killed his partner in cold blood. He embezzled money from the company. His partner was going to sue him. He said, "Okay, let's come in and meet." And he shot and killed his business partner. And then the OT8 Rex Fowler turned the gun on himself, put it up to his sinuses, got nervous. The bullet didn't go into his brain. It went through his sinuses, exited his forehead, above the eyes. So when the cops rolled up, they didn't know whether he was the victim and the dead guy was the shooter. In the middle of all this active crime scene, his wife comes, William Rex Fowler, the OT8. The church, she calls the church. They tell her to go down and get the briefcase because it has OT materials in it. So she goes to an active crime scene and tells the cops, "I need my husband's briefcase. It has religious materials." And they said, "No, you're not getting them." And they eventually get the materials back. But the church just doesn't care that an OT8 just shot and killed his business partner in cold blood over money that the OT embezzled for the church. They care, like, don't let the cops see the OT materials. That's their priorities, right? Because they knew Fowler was going to go to prison for life. And you can look him up, William Rex Fowler. So he's in Colorado, first-degree murder. So, I mean, it's just, I was telling the story last night how they shot and killed a guy here, a former Scientologist.
With a sword that time?
Yeah, Mariel Majorsky.
I remember that.
He pulled up in a Corvette, rented Corvette, drove down from NoCal, and got out and waved two samurai swords, and a retired Seal Beach police officer working security shot and killed him. Now, that was a justified shooting. You can't have someone with... But they had spun up Mario Majorsky. They'd been screwing with him, and he flipped.
Yeah.
So if you really start going through the murders and suicides in Scientology, they're extensive. There's websites called They Didn't Have to Die. I mean, there's a lot of lists of the strange murders and suicides.
You wonder, I mean, I remember that very well, and like I feel like I don't know enough about, I mean,
Yeah.
did anyone ever get any footage of that, like to see what happened?
No, there was some photographs Angry Gay Pope got of Ken Moxon out front supervising it, and they, I mean, it's just one of those tragedies of this guy, got his brain scrambled in Scientology, and then he comes here, and then he's shot and killed. And it's almost like this stuff has gone on for a long time. I have a 1954 article of a 52 maybe. It's the first Dianetics suicide murder where a Dianetics man here in Southern California working at the Dianetics Center before it was Scientology. It was a murder-suicide between he and his wife. That was like the earliest I could find, but they reported he was Dianetics. Hubbard told his second wife, Sarah, that if she loved him, she would kill herself to spare him the public embarrassment of a divorce. So, how's that like?
Wild.
If you love me, you'll kill yourself. LAPD. Well, they're not. That's just they're on their way back to base. They go down Franklin to Piper Technical Center. It's just gonna get some gas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take off.
Yeah,
But
man,
see,
hit me up
yeah.
anytime if you want to talk or whatever. Like,
If you go to my blog, my Gmail's there.
okay, cool.
Scientology Money Project. But let's work on some projects.
It'd be great, man.
I've got a couple stories I could use help on. I got a couple of big stories, but I need help on them. So it's like I'm using a lot of open source intelligence, but this is sort of like just more people
Yeah.
to do some investigating, some good journalism.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember specifically when you wrote about the one on Los Feliz.
Oh, the mission?
That one. Because
Oh, yeah.
I was I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, they boarded it all up, and then they were taking PPP money. And that's when I did the photo essays on everything that was boarded up. And that was see, I like to do history, both oral history and podcasts and actually photo essays. But when they boarded up all their missions, or all their orgs around LA, when Black Lives Matter happened, it sent a message, we're not gonna help the community, we're gonna protect our real estate. They had at the test center, which was built to reach people for Scientology, during the Black Lives Matter protest, there were 35,000 people that went down Sunset Boulevard, right in front of the Scientology Test Center. They had a huge ability to reach 35,000 people with pamphlets because they have a printing factory. They can produce 100 million copies of anything a year. They were boarded up. They were only worried about the real estate. The same thing happened in the Rodney King riots. They boarded up the HGB, as it's called, right there on Hollywood Boulevard and Ivar.
Okay.
It was all about protect the real estate.
Yeah.
It's just so weird when all shit kicks loose. It's board up the orgs, protect the real estate, don't go out on the streets. So not a lot of confront there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the value of a blog over time and posting photos, and that's the value of good journalism over time.
Yeah.
And appreciate. But yeah, hit me up. I got to head out. I just came down here. I have to go back.
I'm always here, man. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Anyway,
Real
likewise.
pleasure.
Likewise. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's
send you
meet.
an
Let's meet for Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be like we'll do a riff on Seinfeld. We'll be SPs in cars having coffee.
That's pretty good.
Good to see you.
All right, man. Take
Okay.
care.
Okay. So we're leaving La Poubelle. It's a short live tonight. So we're going by the copyrighted music. Francois is playing the police. Everything she does is magic. Like remember Francois raising 77,000 so her restaurant didn't have to be shut down, so she could keep it open to host Danny Masterson and his entourage. That's what the money was doing. Pretty venal tale, you know. This town, I'm telling you, will rip your guts out if you let it. And Celebrity Center tested negative for celebrities. Repeat, scientific testing showed that Celebrity Center tested negative for celebrities. It was less than 0.0001% celebrities detected. And that was someone who did a commercial in 1986 for a company that's since gone out of business. So that's about the extent of the celebrity we see at the Celebrity Center. And we saw Defender Vance got an interesting interview with him about where he got his name. And so, you know, knowledge of the court system is very important to know. I was watching what do we got over here? No, that's just a private aircraft hovering. So anyway, we're making a short one tonight. I want to get back in. We have a break in the rain, but it's supposed to come back, and it was raining very heavily as El Nino continues. The warm equatorial waters of the Pacific are driving the atmospheric rivers into Southern California. Up in Northern California, we had record snowfall over the weekend. 20 feet of snow in some places in the Sierra Nevadas. Wow, that's a race car driver. Wow. That's why here on the streets you always want to be careful when you cross, because it is a crazy town. See, this guy right here is not even, okay, so thank you. You always want to make sure, because people here do not pay attention. They often text when they drive. So defensive pedestrianship is in order. Okay, let's see if we have some comments I can take. Oh, wow, we got a lot. So I wasn't interacting, I was interviewing. Yeah. Yes, I know what I did is, this is the new phone. which I think has a good camera and permission. Okay, so this is the new camera, the new phone. I wanted to test it out. Appreciate the commenting communities. Watching from Alaska. I'm always glad to have people from the North Pole, which I understand from reading my World Atlas. Alaska and the North Pole are, what are they, 60 miles apart? Oh no, that's Alaska and Russia at the Bering Sea. And how's the weather in Alaska? What is the coldest you've had this winter so far? I've been to Alaska, and it's just such a magnificent, beautiful place. It's really awe-inspiring. The TikTok tubers are the most famous people in the vicinity. No kidding. Yeah, Police Song, I'll Be Watching You. Yeah, she's playing a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s. That's when that seems to be the favorite music in there. 80s and 90s pop, and that sort of dates the crowd. You don't hear any rap going on in that place. In the old white La Poubelle, they want 80s and 90s pop, like they used to play 94.7 The Wave. For those of you in Southern California, remember 94.7 The Wave, when wave music was the thing. In the early 90s, they set the style for FM radio for several years after that. And then the internet blew it all up, and now you can Spotify and all the other streaming platforms. So not much going on at La Poubelle. I think maybe Friday maybe we'll go somewhere else. But the weekends you tend to bring out more people. But like I said, we did have heavy rains. And I did a live tonight. I'm going to do chop it up and do one part. I have a brilliant idea for Grant Cardone. I proposed something he didn't think about. So I did live earlier on Grant Cardone's contracts, and the thing kind of turned into as live streams I wanted to do, it turned into a different subject. We had a lot of fun doing it. So let me see my comments as we look at the rainy night. Okay. Just found the channel. Oh, thank you for subscribing and liking. We appreciate it. Interesting self-representation in that one defensive defense. Huh. You interviewed your subject. So I'm having a hard time reading. I apologize. But I'm in that. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. DOA's story was fascinating. That was very interesting. I'd always wondered where we got the names. And not always, but sometimes people have very powerful stories behind the screen names they use. And DOA's story was compelling. I'd like to do a longer form podcast with him on what happens. So, like William Gu, DOA, when you know the legal system or you've been on the wrong end of it because of bad cops, you tend to get educated because knowledge is power. Okay, so let's see. Yes, I'd like to do a long form with DOA and kind of get into how people go from First Amendment audits, which I've been watching a long time. DOA mentioned that the FBI tried to tag him as a sovereign citizen. Of course, when Mirza Islam, member of the Nation of Islam, his late mother, Hanan Islam, they were charged with his siblings in the World Literacy Crusade, which was a Scientology scam, for taking $3.8 million intended to treat the black youth of South Central. They took $3.8 million to put these kids through kind of a Narcanon program. And if you remember a few years back, Riza Islam and his mother made a sovereign citizen defense. I was there in the courtroom, 9th floor, LA criminal court downtown where Danny Masterson had tried. Different courtroom, different judge. Judge Michael Pastor and Hanan Islam and Riza put on a sovereign citizen defense. The judge gave them every reason to just state their names. Hanan wouldn't. They wouldn't agree to comply with the maritime court, as the sovereign citizens called it. And they were both, as a result, served 5 days in jail for contempt of court. And that was quite a trial. It ended with Hanan passed away last year, I believe. And the state dropped the charges against Riza because Hanan was really the one they were after, I think. She was the mastermind of the $3.8 million fraud. So, and the two Riza's sisters signed lesser plea deals, which didn't amount to much. So, sovereign citizen, during the times of darkness when everything shut down, Riza met with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other prominent people who were against the jab, and I'm not taking a position there, I'm just mentioning he rose to a great deal of prominence with RFK Jr. And that was when Scientologist Joy Villa was also active in her Trump dresses. So the sovereign citizen, that is a strong element within Scientology itself, along with First Amendment gun rights. So politically, there's a definite spectrum. I mentioned on my live tonight that so far, Elena Cardone, she put up a GoFundMe to raise $355 million to pay for former President Trump's judgment in New York State, business fraud. She's only raised $1.3 million. Not a very good stat. That's why I think Grant Cardone put Elena up to it, because if it failed, it was on Elena for being down stat. Traffic's moving really fast for it being so wet. I think Grant had Elena put on the fundraiser for Trump because if it failed, he could blame Elena for not bringing in the money. If it succeeded, he could put his photo up and say, we raised the money. That's how I read it. And I have it up on my blog if you want to read about Elena Cardone's trying to help pay Donald Trump's $355 million fine from the state of New York. So Elena made her political position very clear, which is rare for Scientologists to do so publicly. But Grant Cardone, of course, paid Donald Trump a personal appearance fee to appear at a 10X event. And so that's where they are politically. And I'm just noting that. I'm being apolitical here. I'm just noting that it's rare to see Scientologists so publicly come out like that. The church itself, of course, will do its politics in the back room. Lobbying is something on a 501c3 that you have to be careful about going too deeply into lobbying. It's allowed, but you can't really support candidates. You can lobby for positions. And Greg Mitchell, the Mitchell firm, Washington, D.C., with his wife, Renee Basson, they are Scientology's lobbyists. In D.C., you read their public filings, the church is spending less money with Greg Mitchell and Renee Basson. But Greg Mitchell is very active for Scientology in interfaith groups. And I should do a podcast on what Greg Mitchell is doing with interfaith, how he's connected to Massimo Introvigne of Cheshire and other paid cult apologists for Scientology. So get into a wide range of topics. Let's see our comments. Yeah, these are great comments. There are a bunch of NOI members. Yeah, at London. Yeah, I found that interesting. because I appreciate the global view. The Nation of Islam in London, I believe, goes back to the 60s. I would have to grab my reference book. I've read a great deal of NOI literature to understand its theology and its movement and its structure since the time that Malcolm X was in the movement. I want to understand what Louis Farrakhan was about, but I also wanted to find any links in his early thinking or association to Scientology, and I kind of have that traced back. And I have a video that's been since taken down of Minister Tony Muhammad and Scientologist Alfred Johnson talking about how the Nation of Islam came into Scientology. There's an official story of how it happened, but then there's the real story of how Louis Farrakhan was going to the Celebrity Center much earlier than is thought, and he was getting auditing there, and he would stay in the penthouse with his entourage. So that's a very interesting story, and it predates, as far as I can tell, the official story that Tony Muhammad was leading a candlelight vigil for a young black man who'd been shot and killed by LAPD, and violence supposedly erupted. What is for sure is that Tony Muhammad was beaten by the police, and they wanted to charge him. He wanted to sue them, and some agreement was reached where there was no arrest, no lawsuit. And then he said that he was going to drop out of community work, that is Tony Muhammad. But Alfred Johnson convinced him to get some Scientology auditing, and Tony benefited from it, he said. And then when he went with Mr. Farrakhan said, "You look so much better, Brother Tony. Whatever you got, I want some of it." And he said it was Scientology. So that's Tony Muhammad's story. But then when I talked to people who worked at the Celebrity Center, they said, no, he was there before that time. And of course, Alfred Johnson is the man who brought in Isaac Hayes into Scientology. So that's also an interesting story. So there's so many different stories you can develop when you research how the church got built. And of course, when South Park did its episode on Tom Cruise, Come Out of the Closet, I think it was South Park 506, the church forced Isaac Hayes to resign from South Park. And that was a big public story. So a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to cut the live right now because I'm almost back to my house. Thank you so much for jumping on. It's short tonight, but enjoyed it. As always, you guys are the best, and I will see you Friday.